A lot of people have asked me, how do I get started of running a WISP? Well, first thing you need to do is learn the ins and outs of the equipment that you're going to use. I use Ubiquity. The way I got started was brought a Edge Router X. I brought a AP. I think it was, which one was it? The M5. And then I brought two of them. I set one up as a AP and I set one up as a CPE. I didn't buy AirCube. I just had a regular router laying around that I used. And all I had was DSL through the telephone company at the location I was at. The maximum I was getting was 10 megs down and zero point 0.7 megs up. It don't matter where you get your internet. It don't matter really how fast your internet is. You just need two things. One, you need an internet connection. Two, you need authorization to resell it. That connection, I was not authorized to resell it, but I was able to use it for myself to learn how to program the equipment. I set up the AP in one room and set up the CP in the other room, connected up the router, connected up my computer, connected up my cell phone, done speed test. I set up the program WISP to set up accounts to see how I can set up speed packages to control the CPEs. Just sit there and play with it. Just like back in the childhood times, you just get something and just sit there and play with it. Figure how it works, ins and outs of it, the configuration of how to get it to work. And then you add another client, which was my son's room, and set him up with a CPE. Now, of course, it was not the best because the walls and everything else, but it gave me the opportunity to mess around with the equipment and figure out how to set it up. Then I got one of my neighbors to let me set up the CPE at their location, which pretty much it puts it out in the real environment as it would be. And I said, use the internet. He already had internet, but I said, use it to see how well it works. And I'll text you saying I'm going to set it up for this speed, set up account for him, not paying anything, just set up account and see what happens when an invoice is emailed to him and he don't pay. Will it turn it off? Figure out how many days beyond the due date that I want to have it to suspend that client's account. How many days after the due date to set that for? How many days to originally the due date will be after the invoice is sent out. I mean, figure out all that automated stuff. How to set the speed and everything and get the router and the CPE to be programmed to control the traffic. So it don't matter if you got DSL, fiber, Spectrum's modem, bright speed modem. It really don't matter where the internet comes from. You just need internet, and you need authorization to resell it, to to run a WISP. But to learn how it all works, you just need an internet connection and the equipment, and play around with it and dive in and figure out how to get it all programmed. You need to figure out if you're going to use 5 gigahertz as your AP in your network or 2.4. And you need to look the pros and cons of each one. And you need to know that information when you get the environment that you find that you want to put a WISP in. Because it will make a difference. If it's got trees, you need 2.4. If it's wide open, you can use either one. Depends on if you need to go far, you need more speed. It's pros and cons to each one. So it's best to get it connected to any kind of internet that you have that you can use, and learn the ins and outs of it. I know a lot of people I have seen use Starlink as their backhaul. Don't know, if I hadn't read their TOS, if you can get authorization to actually use that for that purpose as a commercial or not. They may have, they keep changing things and upgrading things and coming out with new dish and everything else. I don't know their terms of service, if you can or not. I never really looked into it. Now, myself, eventually I may look into it and see, because if I need to go to a site and need internet because my backhaul is down for whatever reason, I may be able to temporarily connect up Starlink to give internet to my network so people can continue. I have to check into that and see the terms of service, if I'm allowed to do that or not. And if they allow you to use Starlink, you can use it not only as your main, you can use it as a backup. You can set up the EdgeRouter X as a failover, so if your main backhaul drops out for whatever reason, it automatically starts coming from Starlink or any other connection. You may be able to get 2 different kind of connections in the area that you're at. Rather, that is, say, Spectrum as your main. You can use Starlink as your backup. You can use a cell service connection as your backup, a temporary. I do believe even Starlink, even Spectrum has a backup system now through the cell service. Don't know what the speeds and all that would be. I really never checked into it. But that's an option. But just get the equipment. Get you a router, EdgeRouter X, get you an AP, maybe 2 APs and 2 CPEs, one 5 gigahertz and one 2.4 gigahertz. Unless you already know what environment you're going to be. If it's wide open, then you just get your 5 gigahertz through your whole network. But get out there, get testing the equipment, get familiar with the equipment. They got it now that the program UISP pretty much runs your equipment. Basically, all you have to do is set up the equipment basically once, and it ties to the UISP and it runs it. Just like the CPE, you go set it up, set the account up, it sends them the invoice, they pay the invoice. If they don't pay the invoice, the system will turn them off. If they 3-4 months later, they pay that invoice, it turns it back on. If you have a site down, you can send a massive mail to everybody that's on that tower that's saying, hey, there's an issue with our connection, and they expect it to have it back up and running in 2 hours. Just like I had last night. I had a site to go down like 9:30, and they said we'll have it back up and running, should be by 11 p.m. And I just copied and pasted that into the email to everybody that's tied to that site, each and every tower that's there. So they got the same information that I do. When I get connection, they'll get connection. And there's a few people that will respond to them emails because they think it's only going to them because it don't have anybody else's email. They say thank you for the information. You know, I get that every now and then. But get out there and get the equipment. Even if you just get a router, the AP, and a CPE, regardless if it's 2.4 or 5. Just get them 3 devices and get out there and set up, play with it, get familiar with it, and get your business running. Even if you just want to get your friends involved, if your neighbors, send them internet. Y'all play with it, learn. I mean, there's one thing about this, having a WISP. It pretty much can be put in anywhere. It don't matter if it's out in the middle of the country. It don't matter if it's in the middle of the city. It works. You can be on a small scale, medium scale, or have thousands of clients. It don't matter if you got 100, or it don't matter if you got 20 clients or 2,000 clients. The equipment still has to be programmed basically the same way. Don't matter how big it gets. You may need to use bigger equipment. Instead of using a 6-inch dish, you may need a 25-inch dish to get it to send further. But it still sets up the same way as the program in itself. So don't let the big equipment scare you, because if you can get the small equipment to work, the big equipment is not much difference of programming to get it actually to work. So get out there and get your business running. Get out there and play with it and learn the ins and outs of it. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.